Welcome back. Today, we're diving into a crucial chapter of American history, the fight for gender equality and reproductive rights in the 1960s. This decade was a turning point for women, setting the stage for significant societal changes that would shape future generations. The 1960s saw the introduction of the birth control pill, the publication of Betty Friedan's The Feminine Mystique, and the formation of the National Organization for Women. Let's explore the movements, key figures, and landmark events that define this transformative era. The 1960s began with a backdrop of traditional gender roles deeply embedded in American society. Most women were expected to be homemakers, raising children while their husbands worked. Social norms dictated that a woman's place was in the home, nurturing the family. Media and advertisements perpetuated the image of the ideal woman, subservient, nurturing, and focused on family. These portrayals reinforced societal expectations and limited women's roles. However, beneath this surface, many women were growing increasingly dissatisfied with their limited roles. The rigid social norms left little room for personal growth and independence. The post-World War II era saw a significant increase in women entering the workforce, yet they were often relegated to low-paying jobs and faced discrimination. Despite societal expectations, many women sought to break free from traditional roles. As more women sought higher education and professional careers, a demand for change began to surface. The desire to challenge and redefine social norms grew stronger, setting the stage for the feminist movements of the late 1960s and beyond. A significant catalyst for change was the resurgence of the feminist movement, which gained momentum in the 1960s and 1970s. In 1963, Betty Friedan published The Feminine Mystique, a groundbreaking book that challenged the notion of the happy housewife and questioned the traditional roles assigned to women. Friedan argued that many women were unhappy with their roles and felt unfulfilled in their lives, despite societal expectations that they should find complete satisfaction in domestic duties. This book resonated with countless women and sparked widespread discussions about gender equality, leading to a collective awakening and a push for change. Friedan went on to co-found the National Organization for Women, or NOW, in 1966, which became a pivotal force in the fight for women's rights. NOW aimed to advocate for women's rights, including equal pay, reproductive rights, and an end to gender discrimination in the workplace, striving to create a more equitable society. The organization organized protests, lobbied for legislative changes, and worked tirelessly to raise awareness about women's issues across the nation, making significant strides in the process. Another key figure was Gloria Steinem, a journalist and social political activist who became a prominent leader and spokesperson for the feminist movement, inspiring many with her eloquence and dedication. In 1972, Steinem co-founded Miss Magazine, which became a major platform for feminist voices and issues, providing a space for women to share their stories and advocate for change. Legislative milestones also marked the decade, such as the Equal Pay Act of 1963, which aimed to abolish wage disparity based on sex, setting a precedent for future legal advancements. These efforts collectively contributed to significant strides in gender equality and laid the groundwork for future advancements in women's rights, creating a lasting impact on society. One of the critical issues that emerged during the 1960s was reproductive rights. This era saw a surge in activism as women began to demand more control over their own bodies and reproductive choices. Women sought control over their bodies and the ability to make decisions about their reproductive health. They wanted the freedom to plan their families and their futures without external interference. The contraceptive pill, approved by the FDA in 1960, was a revolutionary development, allowing women unprecedented control over their fertility. This tiny pill symbolized a giant leap towards gender equality. However, access to contraception was often limited, and many states had restrictive laws that hindered women's choices. These barriers highlighted the ongoing struggle for reproductive autonomy. In 1965, the Supreme Court case Griswold v. Connecticut became a landmark decision in the fight for reproductive rights. This case challenged the constitutionality of state laws that restricted access to contraceptives. The court ruled that the Constitution protected the right of married couples to use contraceptives, effectively striking down Connecticut's ban on birth control. This decision was a significant step forward in recognizing reproductive rights. This ruling set a precedent for future cases related to reproductive rights and privacy, reinforcing the idea that individuals had the right to make personal decisions without government interference. It laid the groundwork for further legal battles. The fight continued, with women advocating for the right to safe and legal abortions, a struggle that would gain momentum in the following decades. The women's liberation movement played a crucial role in this ongoing battle. Many women resorted to underground services, risking their lives to obtain abortions, highlighting the dire need for legal reform. These stories underscored the urgent necessity for change in reproductive laws. The landmark case Roe v. Wade in 1973 would eventually grant women the right to choose, marking a significant victory in the ongoing battle for reproductive rights. This decision was a monumental achievement for women's autonomy and freedom. The younger generation of women had a significant impact on the feminist movement during the 1960s. College campuses became centers of activism, with students organizing protests and discussions about women's rights. The young women's liberation movement emerged, focusing on key initiatives such as women's education, professional aspirations, and social justice. These young activists made strides in challenging traditional gender norms, advocating for equality in both the workplace and at home. They redefined the idea that marriage and motherhood were the only paths for women, promoting a broader vision of what it meant to be a woman in society. Throughout the decade, women and their allies faced numerous legal challenges, fighting tirelessly for their rights and equality. In 1967, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, EEOC, was established as part of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, marking a significant milestone in the battle against workplace discrimination. This was a significant step toward ending gender discrimination in the workplace, as the EEOC provided a platform for women to file complaints about unfair treatment, giving them a voice in a predominantly male-dominated society. However, despite these advancements, many women still faced significant hurdles, encountering resistance and prejudice in various aspects of their professional lives. The fight for equal pay was a major issue, as women continued to earn significantly less than their male counterparts, highlighting the persistent wage gap that needed urgent attention. Activists organized rallies and campaigns to raise awareness about the wage gap and demand legislative action, bringing the issue to the forefront of public consciousness. Reproductive rights also saw significant legal battles, with women advocating for access to birth control and family planning services, essential for their autonomy and health. The landmark Supreme Court case Griswold v. Connecticut in 1965 was a pivotal moment, granting married couples the right to use contraception and setting a precedent for future reproductive rights cases, which would shape the landscape of women's health rights. Despite these victories, the struggle for gender equality and reproductive rights continued, with women tirelessly pushing for further progress, determined to achieve lasting change for future generations. The events of the 1960s laid a crucial foundation for future advancements in gender equality and reproductive rights. The momentum gained during this decade continued into the 1970s and beyond, with the landmark Roe v. Wade decision in 1973, which recognized a woman's right to choose an abortion. This decision was built on the principles established in the Griswold v. Connecticut case and solidified the importance of reproductive rights in the broader fight for gender equality. The feminist movement of the 1960s also inspired generations of women to advocate for their rights, leading to further advancements in education, politics, and the workplace. Women began to break through barriers, holding positions of power and influence in various fields. The legacy of the 1960s continues to influence ongoing gender equality movements as new generations build on the progress made by their predecessors, striving for a more equitable society. The 1960s marked a pivotal era in the fight for gender equality and reproductive rights, with courageous women leading the charge for change. Their efforts reshaped American society and laid the foundation for future progress. Reflecting on this era, we see significant strides made but also recognize the ongoing challenges. The lessons from the 1960s continue to inspire today's movements as we strive for a more equitable society. Thank you for joining us. If you found this video informative, please like, share, and subscribe for more content on history and social justice. Let's keep the conversation going.